Gobens.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon and very good evening to all the new and old Nurture users joining from different parts of the world. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Bence Bernard from Hungary, a professional chess player with a P-Kilo rating of 22-28 and also a foundation coach at Nurture. I will be moderating today's session. And now we welcome Grandmaster Boris onto the platform once again with his camp on exchange sacrifices. For the new users, let us learn something about Grandmaster Boris of Rook. So he became a Grandmaster in 1997 at the age of 21. He has won several championships, Israel championships, Chess Olympiad, 6 times participated in it. Also trained with the best chess players, just mentioning a few: Rajabov, Kramnik, Caruana. Also, he's one of the foremost opening theoreticians and a world leading expert on 1d4. Yes, so some do's and don'ts. Please use chat box for answering and use Q&A box to ask questions. And also please avoid spamming the chat and repeating the questions. If you are unable to log in, what should you do? Please bear with us. You will be able to enjoy the content from the masters very soon. And free camp with the topic Sicilian defense, Ocali variation on 26th of April with Grandmaster Christian Sabot. Check the link for more. And now, thank you. Now, welcome Grandmaster Boris. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for introduction. So I can start, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hello, guys. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, as always. Welcome to our next lecture, our regular slot on Friday. Well, today's topic, we are going to talk about exchange sacrifice. Yeah, so I decided, you probably noticed with the previous lecture, I decided a little bit kind of like switch the concept of the lecture. Like there were lectures where I was showing maybe one game. Now I try to give you as many examples as possible. Now what is interesting, this topic, exchange sacrifice, I don't know, guys, if you noticed, but when you see the games of grandmasters, I hope you've like followed the events, or you see like annotated games later on. There are like so many sources nowadays. It's a very, very popular pattern in the games of grandmasters, right? Like high level grandmasters. And I think, like, from what I understand, guys, like right now it's a little bit confusing to you. Like what's going on, why he sacrifices exchange, what is happening there, why it's not, why it's allowed, why it's justifiable, and so on, right? So guys, this is the goal of my lecture, trying to figure out like different ideas behind exchange sacrifice, and so on, right? So first of all, I would like also to show you how the times evolved, like starting from very simple exchange sacrifices to sacrifices that are happening now, like modern sacrifices, like we will see. Now, guys, I wanted to tell you, well, I wanted to ask you a question, actually. It's interesting to see how, like, you're familiar with the classics, right? With the history, with like the games of like strong players in the past and so on. Who was the player? Oh, you already answered. Guys, but I want to see more answers. Who was heavily associated with exchange sacrifice? Like, okay, so some players are familiar, right? Oh yeah, Of course, right? Yeah, guys. Of course, there was a world champion. I don't remember the number. It's maybe 10th world champion, Tigran Petrosyan, who basically considered to be the master of exchange sacrifice. Oh, that's interesting. So I think like it's a relatively new player, Gianni Fodella. Yeah, I don't remember your name, but you say nowadays Mamedjarov. Well, that's interesting. So it was Petrosyan, and he's claiming Mamedjarov. I never thought this way. I even like I cannot really recall like games of Mamedjarov like right away. Let's say in this lecture specifically, I don't have Mamedjarov examples. Like, well, I mean, he's just associated with some crazy attacking chess, but like exchange sacrifice. I don't know. I am pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that there are games now, like every elite player familiar with this pattern of exchange sacrifice in different positions, you can find the game. So like, you know, those guys, for them, it's just like playing a normal move. It's just like, well, it's just one of the alternatives, right? Like, so they can play. Okay, guys. Now indeed, I wanted to start with Petrosyan. You know, I'm pretty sure there are many books that like middle game manuals mentioning this idea, but like specifically, maybe I would highlight one book which called Learning from Legends by Michal Marin, excellent book. So where he took some big, yeah, of course, like Petrosyan, like games, like his best games, definitely. I mean, I actually don't have this book, but I have no doubts that he will have like, I don't know, separate chapter or how it's spread there. Like, I don't know, but you know, Learning with Legends, where was like, it's a great book where he's basically taken the player like Taimano, what I'm talking about, Fischer, Korchnoi, Karpov, and he presents like the most kind of like common pattern in their games that are kind of like associated with their names. Like, for instance, Karpov playing with opposite color bishops. Fischer, he liked to play bishop versus knight. Michal Tal, he liked to play with the rook versus two pieces. So surprisingly, right? So he's actually, whenever there was chance, and in many cases suspicious, maybe even. And of course, Petrosyan comes with the strategy of you know, exchange sacrifice, right? So guys, I wanted to show you, like in the beginning, a couple of examples. I think like they will be those examples will be easy for you. I'm pretty sure some players are familiar with those games. Now, first game, right? So here's the situation, right? Bishop g5 was played. So this is a game that Portish, Lajos Portish, like one of the top players in the world, like back then, against Petrosyan, 1972. So old games. So what do you think, guys? Like bishop g5 has been played, annoying attack on e7 square. What to play? What to play here, guys? Okay, so yeah, well, that's the logic. Yeah, Julem, that's the logic. Okay, guys, so interesting. I thought like everyone will jump like easily. Oh, Srinivas, you were familiar with this example or not really, Srinivas? Okay, very good, even better. Now, guys, so the problem here, guys, the problem here that positionally, it's very problematic position, right? Now pawn structure wise, strong knight on c6. Guys, for instance, if we take here, I think it's like a mistake. There is this like protected pass pawn. I would consider this position strategically lost. I would consider this strategically lost. It's of course it's still close, but it's problematic. Now, if we play knight e5, so to defend the pawn, no problem. To defend the pawn, like, well, you know, but again, as I said, as I mentioned before, positionally, we are in trouble. So strategically, problem, e7, like somebody mentioned, space issues, lack of space, of course. Guys, that's why in this, but actually, if this move is working that he played in the game, it's actually not so bad. Now, what happened? What happened that White went for the exchange? Now, I think, and objectively speaking, probably should have played this like to take, and then we probably take rook e6. I think like we kind of free our position. It's already not that bad, right? Maybe White slightly better, but that was good way to continue. Actually, I'm saying rook e6, maybe f e6 is also possible, right? I don't know why I said rook e6, like f e6 is also possible. F e6, bishop e7, not working because I take bishop c6. So yeah, definitely, guys, definitely f e6, and I mean, not too bad, right? Not too bad. Maybe slightly better for White still, but it's a game. Now bishop e7 was played in the game, guys, and now how he sacrificed in exchange. Not bishop takes c6, but just he gives up exchange like this, guys. And what happened? Suddenly it's a nice looking position for black. You know, guys, it's this knight on c6. It looks kind of strong, right? But in fact, it's not really influenced the game, right? Like when we had the pawn on e7, yes, he was pressuring the pawn, but now we put the pawn on e5, so we now just not paying attention to this knight. Just don't take this knight, don't pay attention, don't put anything on e7, d8, and play. And you know, slowly but surely, I think like he got a very, yeah, of course, like bishop, we need to activate the bishop. We're not gonna take on c6, so there is nothing to do on b7. So he's activating the bishop, and then it was like, you know, maneuvering. It's close. I feel like it's even slightly better for black, but it's objectively speaking maybe within equality. And you know, that was at some point, like at some point, it's ended in a draw. It's ended in draw. There was a little bit of fight, but he was very accurate, Petrosyan as always, and that's it, right? So what we saw here, guys, he basically, his exchange sacrifice allowed him to free the position, right? Allowed him to free the position and get a nice position, right? Like kind of like from very difficult positional grip, right? Like from White. Yeah. So now this one is like 93, guys, right? So this one, what we are doing here. Right. Yeah, I like Srinivas. Yes. I like how you added without finting. And it's actually correct. Yes, guys. So this one is very easy, guys. Very easy. So we can move the rook c5, rook a4, but rook a4, bishop e4, bishop e4. Guys, this sacrifice, we will talk about this, but it's not even a sacrifice. Now it's always like if you read the book, it comes as a sacrifice, right? But in fact, and we will talk about this later, from material perspective, it's not even a sacrifice because we have bishop pair and pawn, but we will come back to this. So I'm saying, so my point to show you how like in previous years, it was kind of like what is nowadays pretty obvious for top players. So this is my point. So this game is clear, right? This game is clear. This, I think, a little bit more sophisticated. Guys, 1 second. It's always, when I open, I need first to Yeah, okay, good, right? So guys, it's basically, even though it's endgame, yeah, I'm not even asking you, it's the same, right, guys? The same, take. I mean, he played d4 and actually got very big advantage. I mean, also like this game is mentioned everywhere, like Petrosan against Sosonko, like the player from Netherlands, like was pretty strong grandmaster as well. Yeah, so easy one. Now, what about these guys? What about this position? What we are doing here? So bishop a6. Why to move? So we have an answer f4. Rook g3, knight e3, rook h3. Okay, quite a few options. So like I don't know what to say. There is someone who suggested knight e3. Maybe this is the best move, but his name 4/341. So I don't know what to say about this guy, right, guys? So I think like you have an option to change the name to pick up any name. So if you want that your name will be mentioned in some way, then put a real name, like at least some name. I cannot say that this time 4/341 was correct, right? Okay, guys. So what is happening? What is happening here? Now you probably so some players already got this. Let's sacrifice rook on f1, and indeed it's correct. Why? Because we have no time, guys. This is very interesting. We have no time for move like this. Why? Because number one, there are a couple of ideas. One idea is c4, followed by knight is coming to g3, and I'm sorry, it's jumped here. And another idea, even f5 is working here. And I think the pawn is untouchable. What kind of tactics there? No, there is no tactics actually. There is no tactics. It's rather this move. Also very interesting. So, and there is a back rank, guys. Not to forget, when we trade rook a8, queen a8, there is queen a1, right? So also counterplay, So it's possible to take actually, right? Now f4, I feel we are not ready for this move. It's also weakening, right? I think like, for instance, knight g4 and potentially bishop d4. So we have to be very, very careful with this, right, guys? Now what is interesting, what happened in the game, and rook g3, he can kick the rook with h4. This is what a little bit bothers me. I'm not familiar with move rook g3 in this position. Yeah, I think the issue is h4. So somebody, Johnny, you recommend rook g3, h4, right? I don't know if you are planning to take on g7 or something. Guys, what is interesting, he played rook h3. Rook h3, well known. I mean, it's famous because played by Petrosan. There are games, and then it has become a move which is in the theory like like top choice with the 4 games. Now, guys, he took like this: bishop f1, knight f1, b5, knight d3, and white put the knight on f5, grab pawn on h5, and slowly build, I think, just some powerful attack on the king side and easily won. Now the game is from 1976. The game is from 1976. It's probably back then, guys, it's probably was not really how to say it was somewhat a unusual pattern, like this kind of sacrifice for what? For like f5 square, right? The problem is that what is interesting after that there were also some games, and actually black kind of like did pretty well. So it like 2.5 out of 3, but it was not like super play or something. Now when I checked the theory, it's bishop, well, not theory, like when I checked this position, analyze this position, according to computer, bishop f1 was a mistake. So there is absolutely reason not to take. There is absolutely reason not to take, and black has had actually couple of good moves. But by the way, 2 games featured h4, but it's also one of the okay moves. But now one idea is to play knight g6. I feel like this is the most interesting. Preparing knight f4. I think also rook h5 runs into knight f4. So pawn is entire very unclear position. Knight is getting, so we don't need to take. Now I even noticed computer suggests to play f5, e5, queen e7, just sack the pawn. By doing this, solve the problem of f5 square, and just to play kind of like position with counterplay, Benoni position, you know, like. But by the way, it changed. So this is interesting idea, right? f5, e5, and then queen e7. So there is no rook e1, guys, no rook e1, of course, right? Because there is a back rank. And basically by doing this, we solve the problem of f5 square. So we can take later on the floor. Maybe like one of the ideas also target d5 and so on. So basically the funny thing is like everywhere, like in the books, or well, rook h3, beautiful move. In fact, inaccuracy, guys. In fact, inaccuracy. Even though he won, but not the best move. What is the best move? Taking into account that we were talking like lately in this position. What do you think it might be? No, rook g3 we discussed. There is h4, right? I don't see what is there. I already said. What do you mean I said? Yeah, guys. So the best idea, knight e3. So as correctly mentioned by 4/341. So I will have this. Guys, there is this move. Because then in this case, we secure f5. We secure, like, why we sacrifice exchange? We wanted to get f5 square. And he could have get f5 by himself, right? Like sacrificing the pawn. Now we play knight e3. That's the best. If he takes, actually, interestingly enough, with the king, probably the best. And then automatically we get our knight on f5 and we get the rook on h3, if necessary, g3, h3, like happen in the game, but there is a guarantee that it's happening, right? Now, after rook h3, black could have defended. If maybe, like nowadays, some top players, they would already like, oh, well, exchange sacrifice, just normal. I think back then, maybe like it was like a little bit surprising, right? Guys, what I wanted to mention, oh, Spassky. So this game I want to show you, of course, guys, this position, just like, so what was the previous sacrifice? Previous sacrifice, we got control over a5. Very famous game, of course, like Petrosian, it's everything is very famous, but Srinivas, not for everyone. So there is this position. It's I think like from the match, right? Spassky against Petrosian, world championship match. Of course, supposed to be famous classics, right? Black to move, guys. Someone besides Srinivas, Johnny, can you suggest the moves? What is happening here? Yeah, so everyone understands. Everyone either knows or finds. Either way, it's good. Guys, rook c4. To be honest, it's even not a sacrifice, guys. like he cannot really take. Yeah, it's advertised as a sacrifice, but he cannot allow this. It opens the bishop and 2 pass pawns on the queen side. Come on, this is not possible, right? Yeah, guys, and but the funny thing, like he kept the rook. He kept the rook because always the same idea, right? He kept the rook, and I don't think he ever captured. No, so they just play like, but it's always dc4 and 2 pass pawns only, right? And of course, plus it opens the bishop on b7. So did he capture at some point? I actually am confused. Bishop knight e4. Yeah, he captured at some point. Captured at some point when you know, it's funny like how he played this, right? Knight c4 and dc4, and it was now at least he captured when the diagonal was closed, right? So there was no issue of the long diagonal or e4 square, so at least there was some fight. But I mean, I think it was always very clear advantage, right? Very clear advantage for black. Okay, famous game, like everyone mentioned, guys, and the most famous game, guys, the most famous game, of course, I think it's even on the cover of one of the books, guys. Of course, this. The most famous game of Petrosyan. Guys, so I want you to try also, besides like our regular guests like Srinivas, Jani, Dakshin, you know, like let's try somebody else. We have around 20 people here, so maybe like you can suggest your moves. Julam, of course, like you are familiar with this. Yeah, this is more famous than before. I agree with it. Arun, okay. So everyone is getting. I think like some of you know, and this is very good, by the way. This is very good. Nothing to be sorry about. Like it's a classic, guys. So yeah, and I remember how I put to one of my players who is not like really familiar with the classical chess, and he's like, it's not crossed his mind, even though like he was like 2100 player, not crossed his mind. Yeah, guys. So there is a move rook e6. Now there is this powerful center which is about to move forward. Now, actually, the threat is here, bishop f3, and then we cannot stop d5. Of course, e6 in the air as well. So we play rook e6, guys, and just there is one idea, one specific idea to prepare blockade. You know, guys, so Petrosyan was very famous for his like, you know, like blockade ideas as well. So, and the point is that bishop e6, actually, I think we take with the pawn, not with the piece, but it maybe not significant difference. So what happened in the game, like basically just for the square, right? But by the way, the previous example was also like we were sacrificing for f5 square. So here we sacrifice in order to get knight e7 move, and knight comes to d5. And actually, like, you know, guys, what happened? This knight is so powerful, and black position is so nice that I think correctly his opponent Samuel Reshevsky decided to sacrifice back here, and rightly so. He decided to. This is how he survived in this game. Now, if queen f2. If queen f2, I don't know what we play. We play like ob4 or take on a4, but it's you know, guys, it's even easy to understand that, like, let's say we compare like knight d5 versus rook f3 or rook e1, like our minor piece is not worse. Before queen takes c4, right? So yeah, guys, so he took back like this, so his pawn up before, and then yeah, so this pawn is hanging, so they got this position eventually. Yeah, didn't take ba4. I think it was possible, but there is c4, I guess. So this one is pretty double-edged, right? So actually in the game was played this, and he took like this, and then it's kind of like switched to situation when now we have compensation for the pawn, full compensation thanks to the superiority of knight d5 versus bishop b2, right? So this is a superior piece, definitely. Okay, so now, guys, so you of course, some of the examples you are familiar and so on. Now let's go for modern chess, right? Now I wanted to like set up a couple of examples here. So here we have a game. Here we have a game played actually when it's played this game in 2014 between Levon Aronian with white against Simon Agdestein, the grandmaster from Norway who used to be Magnus coach. Black to move. What we have here, guys? Of course, but yeah. Yeah, after we know the topic, everyone is very easy. Yes, guys. So everyone who is answering, he basically gets the move right, guys. Ruby. Oh, well, I'm sorry. It was actually white to move, but it doesn't change much. I would say it doesn't change much, guys. So it was actually bishop c3. I'm sorry. Yeah, the same answer applies. What is interesting, actually, guys, if you think about Levon Aronian as a player, I think he probably will have a lot of examples with exchange sacrifice. And now he's on the other side of the sacrifice. And guys, by the way, he's by accepting the sacrifice, he's committing a very big mistake. Yeah, he should have declined. Now, black would have a great position, yes, but should have declined not to take. Guys, can you imagine this? Like, let's say queen c1. Then it's very good position, or bishop d3, or bishop d3. Now the move just not to touch. And then I think like maybe it's a little bit more pleasant for black, but white is okay. White is okay here. Guys, which pawn after the sacrifice, what we do with the pawn structure? So obviously we understand that the goal here is the pawn structure. Now how we recapture? Let's see. Johnny, please be a little bit more precise. BC4. What is BC4? Ah, okay. No problem. No problem at all. Okay, guys. Very, very interesting. I've never really stopped in this position, guys. How about this? According to the answers, it's, I would say, I don't know like exactly the math, because it's just like pouring, like everyone is answering. I can tell you guys that 80% in favor of CB4, 80 against 20, and CB4 is huge mistake. How about that? Ah. I can tell you that CB4 computer suggests, like evaluation wise, that white is better, slightly better, like slightly better. Meanwhile, after AB4, it's +2 for, like -2 for black. Can you imagine a huge difference? Very interesting, guys. What is happening here? I think like what you underestimate here, like after CB4, you know what you underestimated? I think that potential idea of white exchange sacrifice. It's, yeah, I realize it might be confusing this position. So I'm like, that's why I asked, you know, guys, yes, we get C5, but who cares? like it's not that important. We can get much more with a before, right? And now rook d4, actually he wants rook d4. So let's say we play knight c5, rook d4 right away. If you put queen on c5, okay, I don't take on d4, but then what's next? You cannot even push a4. Unbelievable, guys. Yeah, but it's not that, it's not about your mistake. Unbelievable how complicated it is, right? So of course a before, guys. A before, queen b2. So we didn't get the, like, we improved the pawn structure, but not what we get past pawn like in the game we discussed before, Petrosian, right? So this is what I'm saying. Nowadays it's not so easy. Guys, and what do you think here? What would be the strategy in this position? What do you feel? After just to play rook a3, right? Rook a3, I can do rook d3, you know. Oh, Sahib, I don't know. It seems like first time I mentioned Srinivas, f5 is very nice second choice. Second choice in this position. Start the attack. Start the attack in on to vulnerable. But absolutely the best actually played in the game. Bishop takes d5, cd5, knight b6, guys. Rook a3, rook d3. I can kick the rook because I don't think you're interested to trade. But this is fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. Now one of the ideas that we want this, right? So he played here. Interestingly, knight a4, queen d2. Now, guys, what do you think? Like we do play knight c3 or no? f5. Not so sure what happens after e5 or something. Bishop c4, Srinivas. Arun, you're right. Absolutely. Guys, so the answer is why to rush? We can slowly improve. It's not so easy. And by the way, the grandmaster from Norway, he actually played, and Aronian, what is jump, guys, and Aronian was very happy to sacrifice back. And now, and to hold this position, which is slightly better for black, but probably holdable already. And he was able, actually the guy just offered draw because I think he was happy with the draw in general, but yeah, so mistake. Guys, you know, there is black Semyon Agdestein from Norway, ex-coach of Magnus. Guys, actually, he could have, you know, there is this idea that knight c3 can be played anytime. We can play anytime. Yeah, he's ex-coach of Magnus. Yeah, guys, and for instance, one of the ideas that computers like suggest like to play like this, just improving, maybe even to have some attack. You know, like g4 is in there, and then you know knight c3 somewhere can be much stronger, right? And then it's computers suggest it's very big advantage. You know, the point is like, let's say h3, right? You know, why to rush? Knight c3 anytime, and anytime. Something that white would like to do is to sacrifice back, because those knights are very powerful, you know. Why? Because rooks are not active. There are no open files for this rook. So we can do this. Maybe then next h5, h4, try to get f4 square, for instance. It's also very, very difficult to find useful moves. So he has to watch out knight c3, right? Okay, so this is a really nice example here. Now, guys, this game, I think it's very easy. So it's basically difficult position for black in Catalan, you know, with all yeah, so a5 was played. I think it was a mistake for some reason, but doesn't matter. But guys, of course, rook c4. Now in this case, it was not supposed to be fully sufficient for equality, like, but what is for sure, it's allowed counterplay. It's allowed counterplay because, guys, actually you can see, like, if we take, let's say we take on c1, we cannot do this, right? Like rook c1, knight c6, there is some queen c3, right? And it's well, there is bishop b7, but the position is so, and then white knight is probably heading, one of the knights is heading to c5 here, right? Like it's such a passive position, is crazy, right? So he just played this in order to just free his position, and actually got a very nice counterplay. I think like white were not precise here, something like it even doesn't matter for us. So he just targeted before, and rook b1, knight a5, and it's already almost okay. It's already almost okay. I think like he eventually was fine. Okay. Now, very, very interesting game, actually, guys. So here one important moment that I wanted to discuss with you. It's very recent. It's from 2022, from vacant Tata Steel tournament between Grandmaster from Norway, Bjerre, Jonas Bull Bjerre against Lamy, the Dutch Grandmaster. So they had this opening. Guys, let's jump right away to the position. So there was this position. White got some kind of slightly better endgame, and challenge. Yes, that's correct. It's a big group in Tata Steel, guys. And in this position, so White put some pressure. Was, I think, like pretty annoying position like before that. So Lamy decided, okay, it's hard to defend. Let me try to get a little bit of counterplay. So he goes for c5, which is, I think, maybe a mistake, maybe not, like, but well, at least he wanted some activity here because he was under pressure, right? And now White, instead of playing correctly dc5, I don't know how he wanted to recapture. Maybe bc5, regardless. Let's say you take bishop c5, e5, potentially square d6. That would lead to pretty significant advantage for White. But guys, he decided, why not to play d5? Why not to play d5, e5, e5? Guys, I'll flip the board here, right? e5, knight d5 runs into bishop g4, obviously rook d5, like bishop d5, a7 is hanging. Guys, what do you think? What we should do here? Guys, but rook d5, bishop d5, knight d5, rook a7. What's going on there? Then bishop f6. I don't think it's enough, objectively speaking. b5, guys, you suggest b5. It's like knight e5. You only help me, and we can yeah, Julian. So what's the follow-up? Knight d5, bishop g4. So rook d5, take rook a7. What happens? Knight d5, bishop g4. What happens? So which one to choose when, or maybe not to take on d5, right? So guys, let's do 1 more minute. I don't understand. B5 is like extra weakening. Also, C5 will be hanging. 95 I can play. Julian, very good. Now Srinivas was also very close, guys. So as I mentioned, Rook D5, not enough. Not enough. It's just pure exchange. Why we have compensation? Knight D5 is the right move. Bishop G4, here we need precise move, guys. And I think Srinivas suggested A5. I think Rook D1, all this pressure. Actually, there is this move. I guess this is what was missed by white player, grandmaster. So now Rook C7, we also force. Now after A5, I can delay capture, so I can increase some pressure like Rook D1. Now Rook C7, if you don't take, I go Rook D8 back. So you need to take. And Bishop D7, and also nicely Bishop activate. Guys, so here's my point. Remember, I was mentioning during Petrosian game, like when we were examining Petrosian games, that it's not exactly exchange sacrifice. What I mean by that, guys, when we get, then we get one pawn and bishop pair, and bishop pair is good. Think about this, right? Like, so bishop pair, I consider like if it's a good position for the bishop pair, not like, you know, passive bishops or knight dominates the bishop, you know. So that means 7 pawns. The value is 7 pawns plus pawn 8. Now you take rook, it's 5 pawns. Knight, practically free up a little bit, right? So there is like, maybe like if you count, you would say like, oh, well, it's not always 7 pawns for the bishop pair, or knight sometimes 3.20. So there could be some like, from math perspective, could be 0.25 in white's favor. However, in most of the positions, this kind of sacrifice might come also with a like initiative or extra positional trumps, like Srinivas mentioned. Here we have also double pawns. So it's not even a sacrifice. So all this, like you see in the books, how Petrosian sacrifice only 5. It's like, you know, he got bishop pair, he got pawn, he got initiative everywhere. It's not even a sacrifice, guys. It's like it comes easily. Now this position in the beginning is about equal balance, but then it's easier to play for black as well, right? Now it was so passive when he played c5, like, you know, under pressure and this, and slowly he's outplaying, like he outplayed, like just slowly improving. And you see like bishop on e6, terrific, right? Like controls everything, just slowly improving, grabs space everywhere. And I want to get to one specific moment from this game. Was very interesting. So he put the pressure. So we still keep everything that we got. Very important not to trade one of the bishops, right? 96. And here was a crucial position of the game. Crucial position of the game. So he played 96. What's the idea of 96? What is the threat, guys? What do you think? Knight b5. Correct, guys. Knight b5. So this is the threat. So what we are doing? This is very, very nice. Srinivas, what's going on with you? Like, you know everything. That's crazy. What's your rating? Oh my gosh. So how are you so educated in chess with this rating? Well, that's insane. Very good. Well, it's great. It's great. Congratulations for that. But because the way you talk and you solve, I felt like you are like 2300, 2400. Guys, it's almost impossible to solve this one. It's like advanced puzzle, but remarkable, nevertheless remarkable. So first of all, what happened here? Now I also want to mention that like black is better. Black is better, slightly better. You know, I'm not sure like it's enough for the win. Now, what happened in the game? It's a mystery because he just played a5. By the way, somebody suggested huge mistake, allowed knight b5. Then he played like something like this. I don't know, probably rook d7. He basically lost this. He lost this ending. It's now the question whether it's holdable or not. But I mean, it started to go downhill, so he lost. Right now, guys, knight b5 is the threat. First of all, I'm surprised nobody captured like this. So after all this pawn, guys, but here's a very important thing: like you cannot actually. You can take, but it's not advantage because, guys, imagine so that he actually, it's not really that you won the pawn because you gave up the bishop pair. So like there was 7 pawns, right? When you got like now you got 1 bishop, it's like basically maybe 3.25. So and if you count, it's not really that you got the pawn, you know, and plus the pawn structure got worse, and we do not control the board like we control with bishop pair, right? So, but this is equal. You know, we have 2 pawns. Pawns will get to d3. This is equal. Now, what is interesting? So we need to preserve bishop pair. So that's the key, right? Now how? Now probably, guys, like nobody suggested like rook d7, knight b5. Rook d7, knight b5 doesn't work, guys. Bishop f6, bishop g7. Nobody recommended, maybe you saw, but there is another form. We cannot do this. Now, Johnny, okay, so that's like a6 was very, very popular. Very popular answer, probably the most popular answer. How white will respond? And getting rid of double pawn. Undoubling double pawns. So it's practically, guys, it's not only double pawn, right? It's a very weak double pawn, b3. So, guys, how about the goal to save the bishop pair, not to allow before? And there is only one move, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's awesome, right, guys? Only move? Only move to preserve advantage. No knight b5, no b4, pawn on b3 is hanging, and we slowly improve. I'm not saying it's winning, but it's like minus 0.7 to minus 0.9 advantage according to the computer. Okay, guys, this one saved. Now, for instance, from my personal experience, guys, so there was this position, was easy for me. I knew this idea, played against strong Russian grandmaster many years ago when I was an active chess player, 1999. Now, so there was this position, it's Queen's Indian. Was very easy for me to go for this. He played b5. Guys, play b5, put the pressure on my center. What to do with the pawn structure if I move pawn c before is coming, but you know, guys, this c5, b4, bishop b4, bishop f1, bishop f1, easy. Now it's not like open position, right? But space advantage, and then later everything is under control. Was a nice game. So not even a sacrifice. Remember this, right, guys? So always seriously consider. Always seriously consider. Now, guys, one of the maybe most famous game here, like from the candidates tournament, when Russian player Karyakin qualified for World Championship match against Magnus, was a key game, played towards the end of the tournament. So there was this position. And guys, he just played this. So everyone is like, oh, well, it's a beautiful exchange sacrifice. Guys, what kind of sacrifice this, right? Like, I mean, we got the bishop pair, but just think about bishop d5. That's just a monster bishop. It's like better than any rook, right? And guys, I'll add this to the file so you can see how. And that was slow chess, you know, slow, like nothing immediately happened. It's not that we get f7, slow, queen f2, like, you know, improving here, but bishop d5, guys, it's like, how we can talk about sacrifice, right? Like, what is this bishop d5? Like, you know, take any rook, right? Guys, so what I want to mention also, that of course we can have opening lines, a lot of opening lines where you can see exchange sacrifice. For instance, right? One of the examples, Grunfeld. Now there is this old main classical line, guys, right? Which is not very popular now because black actually started to play different, but this was played a lot, Karpov-Kasparov matches, knight a5, and there is bishop f7 they mostly played, but there is bishop d3, take bishop e6. So the idea to get to c4 with either knight or bishop, d5, it's just like, by the way, guys, very common idea, sacrifice for the bishops, Fianchetto bishop, get the diagonal, right? So it's not that we get exchange back, right? There is a threat bishop h6, but he plays f6, and bishop on d3 is hanging. Now, what is interesting, guys, I wanted to say that I remember when I used to work with Fabiano Caruana, 2009, 2010, we like quickly checked this line, and we came to conclusion that it's kind of like okay for black, objectively speaking, but you need to remember a lot of theory. And I remember, I think like one of the main lines ran like this: queen d4 here, this, bishop comes to b5, e5, you know, queen f2, something like that, like, you know, and then f4. So it was something like very well established theory. And like, if you remember everything, it's like, okay, for black, you know, it might be draw. So also how the times has changed. And now, like, instead of, because you're like, well, you exchange down, right? Nowadays, you know what is the latest trend? Last word in this line, just to play slow. We don't need to rush with this like e5 break, queen d4, bishop h6, something, right? h4 like this, h5. So and it's a latest trend where like kind of like white seems like scoring pretty well so far, and this is how they play, right? Because well, bishop pair. Now no pawn, but you know, there are like other trumps, right? Potentially space advantage, you know, potentially weak king on g8, ones like e5 always in there, like opening up the diagonal, and this. One of the most remarkable exchange sacrifices, guys, in my opinion, there is Queen's Gambit accepted line. So this is like e4 choice, which is like highly recommended in my book, b5. So I'm kind of like always change opinion about this move. Now it's pretty trendy, actually. Considered to be, like for many years, considered to be not serious move. I remember like when I published my book, I think it was like knight c3, and then pawn is hanging, right? Like bishop, there is bishop d7, but then development is horrible. I remember that before, for instance, knight b5, computer says it's already lost. It's already lost. Pawn on c4 is hanging. Bishop f4 comes as a big threat. And now what black invented this remarkable move. Well, now latest trend, but by the way, there are probably some sacrifices as well, like with queen b6. So that's a latest trend. And I think like if we talk about some games, guys, let me really quickly. So there was a game of Nakamura against Aronian, very, very recent. I think like there was also exchange sacrifice. I forgot to add this game. So it's absolutely insane what is happening there. Guys, look what happened. So that is latest. Here, this, to be honest, like it's hard for me to believe, but such strong players playing this, like okay. Guys, there is no way to explain this. It's just like computer chess, somewhat, right? But so we don't play knight c7 right away. I guess it's like some bishop before check and knight takes e5. It's dangerous. So he just moves the bishop, knight on d5, nice, and so they keep sacrificing. Well, like you can take exchange, right? Yeah, it's incredible how like you sacrifice exchange also you think on d8, but then you take here and this, and you have positional compensation because maybe king on e1, you know, you go like bishop b4, knight d5, rook e8, so that's the line. That was insane game with like I mean white won, but I think it was not always was clear. But guys, it's all actually started in the beginning. There was this a6. Suddenly they started to play a6, allowing knight b5, and then a b5, rook a8, bishop b7, rook a1. But by the way, there are like sacrifices like this in also Slav. And now what is remarkable about this, that it's not even bishop e4. I think like if you take bishop e4, there is b3, and basically you have no time, play opens up in white's favor. So it's just e6. I think like this line a little bit in trouble. I'm not sure exactly after knight e2, but the fact itself that they play like this. Now idea to get the pawn, I think like if you go f3 protecting, then some f5 sacrifice comes, like knight h6, bishop b4. There have been like a very beautiful wins for black in this line. For instance, I remember Nakamura beat Indian Grandmaster Akhiban, like was beautiful game played in World Cup like a few years ago. But you know, this is how the times has changed, right? So like nowadays we play stuff like that, right? Like just with black we sacrifice not even a pawn, just some dynamic factors, right, guys? Okay, we have to wrap up here. Well, it's possible like to have endless lectures about this topic, but hopefully it's got you like a few ideas so that you start considering the games. Oh, well, there is this opportunity to improve my pawn structure. I can get bishop pair and pawn. So that's, as Boris said, it's not even exchange sacrifice. So seriously to consider, but don't forget that your pieces should be active. Like this bishop pair should be good, you know, not like bishop e8, bishop d8 or something. Well, yeah, that's it. Hopefully, guys, you enjoy like a lot of examples. I will send you all this will be PGN file so that with the full games, and hopefully it will be you can study more. Hopefully it was enjoyable. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. So we have
couple of questions.
Yes. Now, 2 questions to be exact. So the first, what food habits we should follow during over the board tournaments?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat, please?
What food habits we should follow or someone follow during a tournament, an on-board tournament?
Yeah, guys, I noticed, especially here in US, the culture, they basically eat everything. So I don't, it doesn't seem like a good idea, right? Like they cook, especially young kids, they kind of like, you might see them eating non-stop, you know. But from what I learned, it's like what kind of food? I think chocolate was recommended because it's kind of like gives you energy, and bananas, you know, like that it's kind of like quickly absorbed, so you don't have this kind of like down a little bit. So like I guess fruits, like I heard also dry fruits are okay. So fruits, chocolate, maybe, well, you are too young, I don't know, like, but for the adults, like kind of like coffee, maybe coffee, but it's dangerous because it's ups and downs. But yeah, in general, it's you know, I think this stuff, like from what I know, it's like fruits, dry fruits, and chocolate. So that's a preferable thing. But I don't know, guys, maybe like I know you're always sophisticated in India. Maybe there is something that you have that which is like more quickly absorbed, and it's very like useful, kind of like gives you energy. It's quite possible, you know, very personal.
Okay, and the second question is that how do I decide which chess opening is good for me, or how do someone decide that is opening good for them?
Okay, it's a good question. I mean, I can tell you that usually how people decide what kind of like opening is more like, you know, you have a book or chessable course, stuff like that, so kind of like easily accessible, like, and then you learn, right? So possible, but not the right approach. In general, I would suggest, like, first to choose the opening that you like. In general, it can be anything, guys. It can be anything, like from reliable openings, like, you know, for instance, you're just like, well, I want to play some Gambit, Budapest Gambit, right? Ben's, no offense, right? But it's a
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like fully reliable. Yeah, it's still not losing, but it's kind of like, yeah, white is better, right?
It's not correct.
But if you
yeah.
choose something solid, like Queen's Gambit Decline, Slav, Grunfeld, King's Indian, so those are good openings. And the idea just to that it's appealing to you, like whatever is appealing, doesn't matter. Like pawn structure, counterplay. Maybe you saw the games of your favorite player that he plays this. That's actually like pretty good reason to follow, you know. And you choose, and then you try to find kind of some good source of information, starting from maybe some like simple YouTube channel videos, and going all the way to some like platforms, Chessable, Modern Chess, books, and so on. And of course, like you have Chessbase, maybe potentially with all the tools that you can do your own research, and so on. Yeah, that's so it's very personal. I don't like this approach. Well, we'll just like give you the opening that fits your style, you know, something like this. You just need to like this, and not to play this. Oh, well, somebody forced me to play this, and I actually I don't like this pawn structure. It's very passive. Like, that shouldn't happen. You should make your choice, like supported by some like good level players, and that's it. And then proceed to learn this.
Okay, so there isn't any more questions today. So thank you everyone for the attention, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Ben, for moderating, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next Friday.